Pain exists in the distance between the sufferer and his creator. Now you know exactly what to do. Draw closer every minute to the supreme source of freedom. Human beings refuse to even think about that marvelous principle. But you're going to rethink it right now, and you're going to see the simple, plain logic of it. Spiritual logic. You're going to see that there is definitely a reason why you remain so tangled up with confusion and chaos and suffering. You're going to see, look at the simple sentence, there is a reason for it. You're going to find out that reason. And then you're going to sacrifice everything you own. You're going to sacrifice everything to learn how to leave yourself and walk toward what is higher. So now listen to this spiritual order. Stop cringing. How many know the meaning of the word cringing? Hiding out, fearfully going like that, someone's going to hurt me. Don't you ever have that cringing attitude again toward any other human being, toward anything that you think is hurting you inside of you. You will stop cringing. And you'll stop cringing the moment you see that that's been the sad story of your life. Worry, yes, listen to me. Cringing when you don't get enough customers into that shop you run. Cringing when you make a blunder. Cringing when attacked by fear of the future. All the time, you're always drawing back like that. And I order you, this is higher orders, to catch yourself just about to worry about anything about you, and you stop it at once. You're not going to fall for it one more time. I don't care what connection it has with your finances, with your relationships with other people, with who you think you should be and where you're going. Disassociate your entire life from being afraid. Now, you can do it. I want you to start now. And it starts with you seeing the upstart mind, the fiendish emotions that have taken over your 24-hour existence as you go about your business daily and nightly. You've got to know you have been taken over. You have been taken over. Now, will you please stop loving to be taken over, because that's the reason it continues. This is why the conflict. Oh, business receipts were down today. I hope tomorrow is better. Oh, I thought I saw that close person in my life with a critical gleam in his eye toward me? Is he getting tired of me? Is she getting suspicious of me? On and on and on. You conquer the invisible enemy by making him visible. If you don't do that, you can't change. We're talking about understanding something you haven't understood up till now, something which you were afraid to understand, because fear of understanding is a part of your negative nature. And it talks in your name. It lies to you and says, don't understand that. You'll get hurt even more. Look. The understanding of the malicious influence of an inward lying nature is so essential. I could talk for months about it. To see how you allow a spurious voice to advise you on what to do. You better thank heaven right now that there's another voice that you can listen to, that you can invite, that you can want so badly that you're going to no longer tolerate what's being done against you. Well, isn't something being done against you? Nod your head. But the trouble is, you don't know what it is. You don't know its total dedication to your destruction. Don't be afraid of what I just said. See, you're so shallow. I make a simple, true, healthy statement like, don't be afraid to go counter to what has been destroying your life. I said that, and do you know what you did? Because you're so unseeing. You said, oh, he said the word destruction. Well, I don't want to be destroyed. See, you spoil everything by not noticing the reaction. You took the one word destruction and allowed the lying nature in you to use it to scare you. I, giving you the pure water of life, have to use the word destruction to make things clearer to you. And what happens to you? What happens to the you? You get afraid of the mere word and you connect it to you. Don't you ever again connect destruction with you. With the real you, there's no connection whatever. See, you've already have a hint now of how weak and unseeing and how incompetent you are to catch the enemy in action. Now you have some clues to work on. For example, be very, very conscious of your anxious, tense reaction to mere words. Besides destruction, oh, that's good. Go to work. What words scare you? What words set off an automatic, pointless reaction in you? Well, I'm talking, try to think of something. It even could be a person's name. Man's name, woman's name, because it arouses connections with a past experience with that person. See that the word and your automatic, impulsive, foolish associations with it is lying to you. It doesn't, look, you know, try to get this. Evil, falseness, hypocrisy cares nothing about you. Mental sickness, the whole business has been designed by dark forces to keep you as dangerous and as miserable as you are now. Now I want to go back to the word cringing. It puts a good picture in the mind, doesn't it? And I want you to keep that picture. As a child, remember, you cringed being in the corner in your bedroom. You cringed inside your own mind when you were humiliated in the schoolroom, when at the place you worked something went wrong and you were blamed. You cringed and wondered if you were going to get fired. Don't you ever again fear anything any human being can do against you. He can't do anything against you. Stop it. You put on that kind of that right kind of fiercely fighting spirit, and one day you will see that it came from the heavenly arsenal up there, from the heavenly place that has been wanting you to use spiritual weapons all along, wanting you to have the sword of truth and the armor of righteousness. So you look, listen to me. You can be as bold and as victorious as you want to be. You better look into that. As I want to be. Wow, that seems to be implying that I don't want to be healthy. I don't want to be a winner in the higher sense. That is exactly right. Because you're afraid of giving up the enemy who has so lied to you that you believe the enemy is the friend. Now you think about that last sentence. You believe that what is tormenting you over the poor receipts in today's business, you think that that is the friend because it gives you something to think about, something to worry about. Therefore, I must exist because I'm a worrier. A worrier exists. He's someone worrying. No. That is the trick that you personally have to expose. You're not allowed to allow yourself to be deceived in these extremely sly and subtle and hateful ways anymore. Well, didn't you learn in Sunday school or church that Satan despises God and goodness? Didn't you learn that? That was a truth. That was an elementary fact. The dark forces who are egotism in itself, who is self-promoting in itself, they actually have no other way of seeing God and goodness but with total fierce hatred and the wish to destroy. You don't know how utterly wicked wickedness is. Listen and come here to every meeting till you find out. Otherwise, you're going to be going up asking for help from all the enemies inside of you, and they'll give you the help on the way downward, all that you request. You know, calling God, calling higher consciousness, calling spiritual truths, just call it a friend. Which is the only friend you have. You have no one else. You have no one else to help you. You have all the rest to trick you and harm you and then laugh at your stupidity. I wish we could get that one point over to the whole world this morning. Once sickness and insanity and devilishness uses you, they sneer and they laugh and they toss you away to continue to tumble downhill all by yourself. The world, because it has rejected God and His goodness, the world is tumbling downhill, bumping into each other as they go. Listen to this. The insanity is so incredible. Thousands of battered, sick human beings tumbling down the side of the hill. Do you know what they do? They look at the man, one sufferer, one gouged and wounded man, looks at the man tumbling next to him, and they fight each other and say, you did this to me. Stupidity is a part of the kingdom of darkness. Intelligence is part of the kingdom of heaven. What is your heart saying to what I'm telling you? Is it saying, yes, yes, yes? Everything you've said is the perfect biography, a horrible biography of my own life. And you know, this is you talking, the right part of you talking. I am exhilarated over the point that I must stop cringing. No more, I don't have to do it to anything. What do you cringe before? You make it clear. And you see how you have surrendered your spiritual integrity where you didn't have to do it. You don't have to do it one more time. So don't let it happen one more time, even in the course of this talk. You catch those cowardly, totally destructive forces trying to steal you away from the kingdom of heaven. And when they bare their teeth, and when they claw at you, and when they whisper fears into your ears and try to keep you in their dark kingdom, you recognize them and you shout out, no more. I am not going to be tricked again. You know you're tired of being tricked, but you can't stop it because you can't recognize it when it comes up and whispers its lies in your ear. You can't hear it. You can't hear it because you're trying to side yourself with it because you simply don't know that there is something else besides lies. Well, better start with the basics right now. Healing is actually a possibility for all who would rather be healthy than sick. You say, well, how come if it's so available, how come everybody, I see my own neighbors, I know what mental, emotional, and life sickness is. I know what is in those people. I can see them blurting out hateful remarks, trying to deceive people. I can see it in myself. How come health is outnumbered 1,000,000,000 to 1 by sickness? I told you the answer to that. The reason there are not 1,000,000 people here this morning is because all the others chose to continue to be sick. They could have come here. They could have read the books. They could have, yes, they could have. They could have heard this talk this morning, and they could, of course. They would have been startled, of course. Sickness is always startled and afraid when it hears the truth. They could have done that, but you're here. Oh, thank God. Would you please thank God right now that you're here in this room? That's good. That's nice. This is part of your acceptance of all the marvels and the colorful blessings that are waiting for you. That's a start. God says, let me prove myself to you. You can do that. See, you have preferred now to not let God prove himself. He wants to, he can, he will. But the brick walls in your mind are that thick. All the billions on the sick, maniacal side of the wall are saying, I'd better not look and see what's on the other side of the wall, which is hell. I better not do it, lest I lose my life. What life? They have no life. All they have is daily disintegration. And if you dare to put your head over the wall and say that's disintegration, sir, not life, they will throw rocks at you. They will despise you. They will try to destroy you. I've got more good news for you. Nothing on the sick, insane side of the wall can touch the spiritual sanity on the other side. This is the safety we're talking about. You look, raise your hands physically. You want to be safe? You want to be safe? Then listen to what you're hearing. Don't think that it is needful for you to stay on the crazy side of the wall anymore. See, I want to emphasize daily little things that happen to you, for you to see happening to you at the moment it does, so you can connect it with the teachings here, the talk you're hearing this morning. Hey, what do you know? That man really hit something in me that I'd never made a connection before. He said that it's 10 o'clock and my little shop is closed, and I went over to the cash register and poked the button and saw how much money I'd take in for the day. Sure, I do that. That's what I actually do. And I looked at, yesterday was $200 higher than today. What about tomorrow? Is it going to go down 200 more? Money has nothing to do with your soul. When you wake up, will you stop doing that? Will you stop cringing? How many will agree that you're pretty stupid? I was going to add at times, but I thought I wouldn't add that. All right. Now you know very well the picture I was putting in your mind about walking to the cash register. Actual business, that's okay too. I'm talking about something else. You know that, don't you? You knew I was talking about something else because you all don't run a business. But the end of your day, you do the same thing. Well, did I impress those people rightly today? And you'll even say, did I manage to cover up my tension by painting those pictures, by doing whatever you do to escape the actual condition of your life? You're always adding it up at the end of the day and worrying that tomorrow might be even worse. Satan is surreptitiously sneaky and stabbing. He is able to catch you anytime he wants. The next time you go to your cash register and the business you run out there down on the street or the personal business you run inside yourself, at the end of every day, when you add up, like in bed, going to sleep, worried and sick over something that happened, you'll remember the illustration I gave you. And you'll see that the fiends who run this world, who hate humanity, the fiends are working on you every second. They never stop. They never stop because of their own insecurity. They have to feed off of you. They have to get your negative emotions in order to keep their existence, their false existence going. They never stop. They're afraid to. And I'll tell you something else. This is a long talk in itself. All those dark, scheming, malicious creatures, they know that in the end they will lose. They know that they will be destroyed. Don't you listen to them anymore. These are the creatures of the night telling you they're the creatures of the day. They're frantic. They live in fear, tension, maniacal passions. They live in that. And they want you to have what they have so that they can get it back from you, the echo, the bounce back. And then can lie and say, the fiendish feelings I got from that man looking at his cash register, the fiendish feelings are life. See, Satan has to lie to himself all the time too. Then he can say, I have life, but since it's a lie, since it comes from his own dark nature, he has to keep on lying to himself by lying to you, hoping that the feedback that comes to you will give him the false feeling of life that he now has the energy to give to you the next night when you look at your cash register and see things going down. Don't you know? Don't you know? Let me tell you what God wants to tell you. He wants to tell you that in truth, in reality, you have nothing whatever to do with this sick world. You really don't have anything to do with it. Will you stop acting as if you do? Will you stop thinking that your human relations are the important thing? That your pension is the important thing? That your memories are the important thing? Will you stop thinking that the life you have constructed for yourself is the right important thing? They are the last things. They are the nothings. That's it. They are the nothings. You are walking the sunny path to a something with a capital S that is different from what you have ever experienced. You are now calling your nothingness of life something, which means that you had better walk away from the lunatics on the wrong side of the wall. Walk away from the mobs, the mass of humanity, and you deliberately, by following instructions and loving, will you love what you're hearing? Love it starting now. Loving the guides, and walk up close to the wall. Most people even stay as far away from it as possible. They don't want to hear the whisperings that are always coming over to the wall for those who want to hear it. They stay at a distance. They're not going to come to a place that tells them about God's true nature, because they already have in their own minds the lie of what reality is. They're not going to come to a place like this that tells the truth. They're afraid of losing their false life. All right. You're going to be different. You're going to come apart from everything false out there and false inside yourself, and you're going to follow the directions to walk up close to the wall. You're not over it yet. You're going to walk up close, and you're going to turn your back on the whole world. Its business it's entertainments, it's pornography, the incredible, brutal, vulgar mess, unclean mess. You're going to turn your back on it altogether. Don't listen to it. Don't have anything to do with it. Know that insanity is insanity. That destruction is destruction. Turn your back even when hesitant to do so. And you are hesitant. I want you to see, you're now facing the insane crowd, mangling each other, destroying each other, lying to each other, deceiving to each other. That's been our life since we were brought into this world. We thought it was the only world. There was the only life. Use that figure of speech, please. Turn your back on all of society, all the so-called great people, the great entertainers, the great people who are supposed to be caring for you and loving you. They're all exploiting you. Turn your back. Walk as close to the wall as you can. The truth on the other side wants to catch your ear, trying to catch your attention, trying to catch your wish to come out from among the madness. Walk close to the wall, turn your back, face the wall, and stay there 24 hours of the day. Stay there, quietly and calmly, and shut your hearing off from the clamor and the rudeness and the disasters, from everything that is dark and unhealthy. Turn your ears away and turn toward the whispers that are trying to get through. Now I'll tell you what will happen so you'll understand. This is the way it goes. But this is the way victory comes. You turn your back and you're so sick and worried at the instructions you were given to turn your back on sick society and listen to the right instructions, the help, the spirituality from the other side of the wall. You're sick and worried. You're worried. You know this. Make it conscious. You're afraid of losing your kindly friends. You don't have a single kindly friend on your side of the wall, except the one in a trillion that is sided with truth. You're afraid of what's going to happen to you. Let it happen to you. Let it happen to you. What will happen? It's where you're listening with one ear to the help and the love. The love and the compassion coming from the other side of the wall. The other ear, so to speak, is still catching the mangled voices, the hypocrites in the high places and in low places, and all the drugs and all the other physical deceptions. You're wondering how you can ever leave it. And so the worry, the concern stays for a long while. How many know what I'm talking about? You keep that other ear tuned while the devil is whispering in this ear. You listen at the same time to the loving whisperings coming over the wall. And I guarantee you, the difference in the two will become clearer every minute to you. You're beginning, thank God, I didn't know that this was possible. Now you know what is possible. It's possible for you to know the difference between the light of love and the hatred of the dark night. I'm going to emphasize that. You know what the two-word phrase, false friends, is, you've heard it. They're a billion times more numerous than you think. And when you catch and expel the false friends within yourself, nothing is easier, nothing is more fun than expelling all the falseness in society that you run into wherever you go. Do you know you can't walk hardly anywhere in this whole world without mingling with all the insanies and the lunatics and the liars and the devils who dominate the wrong side of the wall. You can't go in. They're everywhere. They are everyone. See, I have to be thinking of your reactions when I talk. And I could have said, everyone with the exception of a few who have broken free, which is a true statement. But now, you'll make the mistake of thinking, oh, he said there's a few exceptions. Oh, that kindly assistant manager down at the place I work. He's so gentle and kind. You're going to think he's an exception, and you're going to fall right into his devilish trap. How many understand what I'm talking about? Don't you be the one to ever say he or she is the exception. Let God himself tell you who's the exception, and you'll know. And oh, will you see how few they are. That has nothing to do with it. Never mind who they are or who they aren't. That comes all by itself. You do what you have to do, and the rewards that come from that will come to you through that thick wall as if the wall isn't there anymore. One day the wall that keeps you will collapse and you'll be altogether on the other side. Want some good news? More good news? It's all good news. Tremendous, delightful news. I almost said you could do a jig, but that doesn't sound quite appropriate, so I won't say you could almost do a jig. All right. There is no way anything that hurts you can ever get over to the other side. In the first place, and I'll repeat what I said earlier, in the first place, sickness despises health. It has nothing to do with it. It's not going to go over there. Do you see how this will more and more make your judgment purer as to whom you should associate with and on what levels? Of course you associate with the people you work with, and you go to the supermarket. That's simple. That's not hard to understand. You associate with them. But you have to be brighter in your personal relationships. Other people are closer to you. Look, you have to do one thing. Walk in the inner light. A lot of things will happen when you do that, both to you and to other people. When other people that you walk around with and get a little close to, your spiritual light will glow in a new way, of course, because it's the glow coming from heaven. It will express itself outwardly. The devil in them will recognize the glow in you. Not your glow, the glow you have accepted to shine through you. They will recognize that, and they will want to run away from you. I almost said lickety-split. What's happening to me using all these? All right, I'm going to deliberately dare. They will run lickety-split away from you. Aren't you more than pleased? You don't have to put up with them anymore. You are free. You are jubilant inside because the glow that you allowed to come to you is now living your life for you. You don't have to decide what to do anymore. Your mind, even your mind in daily events, can be so spiritualized that it comes down and tells you what to do in the smallest of daily event that you have. You don't have to struggle. What should I do? What should I think about this? Look. Heaven is the whole answer to everything that occurs to you, to everything you have to do. What you have to do is to be conscious of the fact that the glow is wanting to live your life for you. And then when you see that, more and more you invite it. And you're, never again am I going to look at that cash register and quiver and shudder. Never again. No. I've been a slave long enough. No. There can be right spiritual emotion in you. And I just gave you an example of that. No more a quivering little hideout. Look, dedicate your life to the light. It has already dedicated itself to helping you, to saving you. You dedicate yourself to it, and when the two come together, you are a new man, a new woman. Good morning. Out of the depths of their unconscious regions, human beings shriek out, "I can't take it anymore. I just can't take it." I want you to recognize the presence of those cries within you. If you could just know that they are there while having dinner, while typing that letter, while talking with someone. If you could just know that there is something else going on inwardly while you're operating outwardly, you would make great gain. It is the unseen, dark operation of that shriek that is the problem. But it is not really a problem. You just think it is because you don't understand it. You don't know that "I can't take it anymore" is a false cry. It has no reality to it, no validity. You don't have to have it. You don't have to say it. You don't have to be torn by it. But you must know that it's going on all the time and surfaces only when 10 crises come up at a time, or maybe just 3. When it's a small matter, you can shrug it off. You can say, "I'll handle that, as I've handled it before." And so you live without knowing what is nagging, gnawing at you 24 hours a day. Therefore it has you where it wants you, and you're its slave. So what you're going to do from now on is to not be afraid of the shriek, "I can't take it. It's overwhelming me. Nobody in my family, none of the books, none of the pleasures, none of the funds can take it away from me. It is always there. But I'm afraid to tell myself it's there." You won't be afraid anymore. You're going to have a showdown with it. Remember the showdown of the Western Let's look at the western scene. High noon, right? The tall, handsome cowboy out in the street, one end of it. The black-clothed villain usually has 8 days' growth of beard on to make him look as if he's careless as well about his personal appearance. But he's really a meanie. And they face each other 50 yards apart, and you can see their hands getting ready to go, right? Staring at each other. Look, you're going to be a new kind of hero. You're not going to have to draw a physical weapon of any kind. What you can do and what you're learning to do, and don't miss another class, because what you hear is essential. What you're going to learn to do when you face that villain on the other end of Main Street, on the dusty main road there, what you're going to do is to be able to look at it or him or her so clearly and with such natural confidence that you will see the expression on his face change. See, evil firmness and sternness and toughness is all a big fake. What you see on the outside is not matched on the inside at all. And when you stand there, you're just relaxed and calm and looking at that enemy down there, that bandit. When you look at him, when he knows that you know, and you will know when you know, he'll look at you and his hands will flop at his side. The alertness will go out of them, and he'll look hesitatingly at you, and he'll turn and walk away, and the whole town is yours now to continue to correct and to protect, because something in you has the power to transmit itself to evil. Now, you don't know that yet, but you're learning it. You're learning that your state, your nature, your level of spiritual strength is everything. Nothing else counts. But just now, you may be standing in the street a dozen times a day and facing the adversary, but you are afraid of him, and he knows you're afraid, and he's got you. That's why he's got you. Because he can read you. Everybody, you pass a stranger on this crowded sidewalk, and in 1 second's glance at your face as you pass a stranger, he's reading you. And it's very easy to read. He knows, he can tell that you're lost. He's lost himself, of course. He knows that you don't even know you're walking down the street, but that's unconscious to him too, because he doesn't know he's walking down the street, because he's studying your face to see how he can take advantage of you, because you're representative of the whole world that he needs desperately to take and twist in order to fill and to fulfill his own false needs and to quiet the shriek of his own, I can't take it anymore. Everybody you pass on the street is saying that. Hear it. You're going to hear it. You're going to know it's there. And there's one way you'll know that is by knowing that it's in you. Everybody's problems and difficulties and their utter faltering and weakness will be absolutely clear to you. And in that state, they can't stand at the other end of the dusty street and scare you and bluff you anymore. All right. You do not realize something that you're going to realize starting from this moment on. You're going to realize that trueness, an elevated inner condition, can't be hurt at all. How can badness hurt goodness? They're different worlds, different planets. There's no connection between them at all. Oh, if you can get hurt, the conclusion should be obvious to you. There's something bad. That is, something incorrect, a lack of spiritual information. You are not living in the world you're supposed to be living in. But isn't that encouraging, as is everything you hear in this room? If I am good with a goodness that has come to me, not that I've manufactured, but if I am quietly, easily good, that means nothing can touch me. There's no way the gunslinger at the other end of the street can scare me at all, because look, please listen to this. You have to make a long leap, but do it. God can't be scared by anything. The Supreme Spirit is the Supreme Spirit. And all who are citizens of that heavenly country partake of the same quiet, bright light, which cannot be afraid of anything at all. And I'll get to that a little bit more. But I want you to go over in your mind the fact that only unnaturalness in me can be confused and annoyed and irritated and distressed. Only unnaturalness can react with agony, can be lonely and scared. Now, if that is a fixed thought in your mind, you can go on from there. You can go on to detect moment by moment how you are unnatural. And you are unnatural anytime you operate from past thinking. When your old habits are moving your body, moving your tongue when you speak. So awareness of doing something that is not natural, and that word will become clearer to you. Awareness of that gives you a little small jolt. And I want you to have the jolt of seeing that you are pointlessly, uselessly crying out, I can't take it anymore. The world is too much for me. Well, of course the world is too much for you, because you are in it. You're living in this world. This is what you have wrongly chosen as your place of habitation. You can change it this morning so that you're not living in this world except for your physical body, which is not you anyway. So that there's this spirit of alertness, the Supreme Spirit is inhabiting you. And when you pass through this world, because you know quite clearly, it doesn't have anything to give you. That man doesn't. That woman, that opportunity, they have nothing to give you. And if they try to give it to you, you reject it. I don't any longer want what I've always wanted, to find that little cozy corner somewhere inside of me where nobody can hurt me anymore. Every time you say that, you increase the opportunities for people to hurt you, because you don't understand the almighty evil of the whole world. And I'm going to tell you all something. You have but the faintest glimpse of how sick everyone and everything is. Because you're still part of it. You still want a hero. You still want to prove that you of yourself are stronger than the gunslinger down the street there. You want to prove and you want to think that you have to win. You do think you have to win. What are you trying to win? You've never won it. You will never win it. You will always lose. And if you learn what to be a conscious loser, that will be a great day in your life. So we're going to have to talk about the topic of rejection, of being rejected. Pretty painful topic to you, isn't it? Remember the times, the hundreds of times. What did you want? You wanted that vacation that others were going on, and it didn't come about. You felt rejected. You wanted to go to that school maybe, and they rejected you. Others were accepted. You weren't. You wanted that nice girl, that nice boy, and if I could just have a date with him or her tonight, how nice it would be. He or she did not want you. You felt rejected and forlorn. Now listen to me. Underline this 50 times, not just now, but when you get home. This is a tremendous statement, and I want it to make a tremendous impact on you. The word rejection has no meaning whatever. It shouldn't even be in the dictionary. The word rejection, now let me tell you what it is. First, it's a sound. I'm going to say the sound. Rejection. Now, did that hurt any of you? You feel rejected? Yeah. I said a sound. Good, you're making progress. Congratulations. Rejection is also something that, because of the way the English language is constructed, it says R-E-G, and so spelling, however you spell rejection. R-E-J, I got it. And you look at it on a piece of paper. Rejection. Now, if you've got it written down there, see if it scares you. See if that little piece of paper with a little black marks on it, does it scare you? All right. So, it is simply an exterior means of communication that you have interpreted wrongly. Now, here's the chief great blow against that gunslinger down the street in connection with the word rejection. I'm going to tell you again. It's a breath. It's a word. In an intelligent, sane human being, it remains a word. It does not sink down into the inner places where your emotions churn and where you get wondering about things. Is it clear to you that you have made, unknowingly, a tremendous error in allowing a word to pass inside where it was picked up by all those dark, foolish, useless attitudes, beliefs, who you think you are? It was taken by that and twisted, and you became a believer. And that belief turned into a feeling, and the feeling turned into tears. And you remember the thousands of the times that you were a little kid, someone else got the pistachio ice cream cone, and you wanted pistachio instead of vanilla. They're both equally good. But you in your mind, because someone else wanted pistachio first, were influenced. See how many have ever been influenced by pistachio ice cream? The time may come. And I've set you up on guard so that it won't happen. You know, it has a little screen with little seeds in it, sort of, very, very tasty. How many already want some pistachio ice cream? You were rejected, and now, unfortunately, you had a wrong type of birth, of creation. You believed, can you believe it? You believed that you were a boy, girl who was rejected. You were someone who did not get the pistachio ice cream cone. And that went on to build thousands of other false selves and identities, each of which you believed in. All right, I'm not going to let you get off easy with this lesson. You're going to go back to knowing, and let the knowing grow, that there is no connection between the piece of paper or the breath or the sound that says rejection. There's no connection between that and who you really are. What is going on authentically inside you, truly, the small bit of truth, does not grab the sound, the word, and say, that is me. It knows better. The Supreme Spirit knows better. You don't, because you're someone else. You're someone who is so desperately searching for something to turn to that you want to be rejected. The more, the unmerrier. Only you call it merrier. I got to tell you something. If you were to understand this lesson you've just heard about rejection, if you were to see it clearly all at once, a wave, a new kind of wave would go through you that would cause you enormous temporary shaking and feeling of desolation and aloneness. Marvelous! You're making it. You're doing the work. You're letting go. You're not clinging to your spurious life of being someone who's always had the bad end of things. You no longer feel persecuted because you have passed through the stage where you loved to be rejected because it gave you something to do with yourself, to complain, to howl, to shriek out, to find enemies. You have no business, after hearing this talk, you have no business ever again having a personal enemy. You have no business seeing anyone as the gunslinger with his double pistols down there. You have no business fearing anyone. The reason you have no business doing that is because truth said so. It said that you're living in a state of nervous agitation. Both words mean the same thing. You're living in a state where you want to keep your vibrations going because you've taken your angers, you've taken your shrieks of rejection, I can't take it anymore. You're taking that, and know how awfully cunning you are in deceiving yourself. I don't want to get hurt anymore. Yes, you're putting the enemy out there because you're not the brave sheriff of the town who takes charge of yourself and your responsibilities by seeing that the enemy is right here. The enemy is right there. The enemy is right there. And no place else. Oh, what a hysterical world we live in. It's the other country that's the troublemaker. That's why we have grief. It's that institution that is causing me this grief. Look, come on, I'm going to have to tell you something. Either there is a good God or there isn't. Now, I'm telling you that there is. That's settled, which evils don't want to hear. Since there is a God, a supreme spirit, its nature is absolutely pure. God is love. God is love. Oh, that doesn't convey very much, does it? Because human beings don't know what love is. But the point is this. Since there is a deity, since there really is a heavenly Father who wants to watch over you if you will let him, that means that he, throughout eternity, has conquered all evil. It means that God, satanic forces, aren't really an enemy of God. There's no battle. We speak of it because we have to use words to understand things. And we'll continue to say there's a battle between good and evil. But in a higher understanding, which you want to reach as fast as possible, there is only absolute, total victory over all pain, over all confusion, over all delusions. It exists. If you're living in a nice, pretty country with a good king over it, then you partake of everything that the good king gives to the country. Change your residence. Switch your citizenship to another country, to the higher country. And when you do that, an astonishing viewpoint, consciousness, understanding will be yours, which is this, connected with the feelings of rejection. How can I get rejected by anything when I don't live in the land of rejection where I used to? I'm living somewhere else where there are no opposites of rejection and acceptance. There's not even acceptance in the kingdom of heaven. The dualism, the doubleness has disappeared, and there's only just one thing of pure innocence and happiness. But you feel rejected because you first wanted to feel accepted, right? Right? Oh, I've got to have that pistachio ice cream cone. If I don't have it, I'll feel rejected. I know you understand that figure of speech and what it means. I've got to be accepted as someone who's worthy of having pistachio ice cream cone. And if I don't have it, then I won't know who I am. So I've got to make the money. I've got to win the score, win the game. Then everything will be settled. See, you're playing around with the opposites of acceptance and rejection. Now, I said a minute ago, the word rejection must have no meaning to you whatever. You must not think that it represents anything connected with you. Ready for the next step. Also, acceptance. The two go together. I told you that. You want to be accepted. Well, let's figure that out. How many of you want to be accepted? Well, what are you going to give them in return for accepting you? You've got nothing to give them, but you don't know that. You think you have something. How many of you think you're pretty hot stuff? The tone is a little different, but I think you got the right. Yeah, all right. You want to be accepted. Question. Exactly, sir, miss, or Mrs., we got to know Ms., we got to know. Exactly who are you that's going to be accepted? What's getting accepted? Tell me. Oh, you're confused now, aren't you? Who are you? Come on. I want you to tell me who you are and watch how you're going to have to work harder, and you've worked it a long time. Who are you? You don't know who you are. You know unconsciously that you don't really know who you are, but you're afraid of the fact, which is ridiculous. Just see the fact that you don't know who you are and just live with that. Don't do anything about the fact that you don't know who you are. Just live with it and see what happens. What will happen is that marvelous condition known as the falling away. Maybe you have had a little bit of personal experience of something really, truly that fell away that used to bother you, and you know it's gone. Have any of you had just a little bit? I'm not talking about big things, just little things. You will find in this new condition that the falling away goes faster and faster. And then when you come to where there's a group of people, like here this morning, when you're going in and out of the office doors with other people, you have an entirely different relationship with the whole world. It starts with you, say, entering your office where you work, and you know that you're walking through the door, by the way, because you're knowing where your body is all the time. You walk through the door, and there's a wide variety. There's several bosses there, and even the bosses are a little bit different. One of them is friendly. Another one looked at you oddly. Another one didn't give you the raise you thought you should have. On and on. And then there's the lady at the desk next to you, and she always has a fresh little flower in the little vase she has there. I almost said vase. And you know all about them physically, and all the time, this is if you're asleep now, your mind is doing wrong things. Should I tell her that I just love that buttercup flower in her vase? Should I tell her that? Because if I do, that will flatter her, and she will like me for being so appreciative. Personally, I never cared much for buttercups. But if I can make her think that I'm appreciative and give her a good feeling about herself, she will have a good feeling about me, and I will feel a little better. No, you won't. You're trapped, aren't you? You're trapped by coming in there and doing all these little things, commenting to other people, the subtle flatteries, doing little things to make them think that you're just an okay person and they should accept you. All based on the utterly wasteful premise that you have to work for yourself, on yourself, to keep yourself intact. You are not intact now. What are you talking about? Keeping yourself secure by telling them those flattering things about themselves. You're wasting your life. You're not getting a single thing for yourself. As a matter of fact, you are losing things for yourself, not knowing what you're doing. Think of the word relief then. The relief of not having to join in with that wrong joke, join in with that wrong conversation, not thinking that you have to contribute to the discussion they're having over world affairs, giving your opinion. Please, right now, listen to me. Know how burdensome it is, how tiring it is to have to join this world in keeping the world as wobbly as it is by making your comments. Look. It doesn't make any difference at all what those group of people think of you if you just stand there silently and don't say a thing. See, you think, because you're so scared inside, you think that you have to keep reassuring them of how intelligent you are, of how much you know. And maybe you'll go the exact opposite of the opinion of someone else. So to convince yourself and them that you are indeed an individual, you don't think like a sheep. You've got your own plans to straighten out this world. Don't be afraid to not know anything about how to straighten this world out, because you don't know, do you? When you sit there quietly, this is what is known as going through one of the valleys of the shadow of fear and trembling, to not know what to do in the middle of the world, but just know what is going on inside of you, and to realize with great pleasure that you don't have to convince anyone of your intelligence. How many have had trouble doing that in the past? And yourself also. Notice that it's an endless road to try to say, do, think, accomplish things in order to get it over with. And you always say, please stop saying it, you always say, just one more victory and I'll be safe. Then the battle will be over. This morning, whether you're new here or been here for a long time, you're going to know that defeat and victory, acceptance and rejection are not going to play a part of your inner life anymore. That it's futile to try to think and feel in the way you now feel, to feel that one more victory, one more dollar is going to give me that security than I need. Instead, you're going to stand in that street with the enemy gunslinger facing you. And instead of paying attention to him with your surface mind and shaking, you're going to look inside and see that you are shaking. Never mind him. He isn't causing you to shake. Badness can't shake goodness. Badness can't shake goodness. Badness can't shake goodness. And you're going to be conscious of the whole situation. The crowds are on both sides of the street. That is, you think people are watching you, which they are. And you want to be a hero. How come, if you're so great, a sheriff yourself, a spiritual sheriff, if you're so great, how come your hand really is trembling? I know you don't want the people, the spectators on both sides of the street to see it. We know that. But you have to know it. Don't be afraid of knowing it. Please, this morning, let loose all your terror, all your hostility. Know that it's there. That's so important. The word important is not an important enough word to convey it to you. But you're standing there, and if you're afraid of that evil gunslinger down there, don't you dare again ever let your thought turn to, I hope I'm a faster draw than he is. I hope I can catch the first little signal in his eye where he's going to draw on me. And I hope I can shoot him down before he shoots me down. I have given you a brief biography of the life of every one of you. With this not alone, aren't you going to go out of here? Please go out of here. And don't go back to the world again. I know you have to take care of that business you run. I know you have to keep the house and the family going. I'm aware of that. Are you going to go back there and begin to try to win in the old ways? That's what I'm getting at. Dedicate all your time and energy to understand what you're hearing here this morning, so that when the next crisis comes up, you feel rejected because you didn't get something. You're going to look inside of yourself and see that the gunslinger is in here, not out there. It's not that person who said you can't have a pistachio ice cream cone. It's not the university that said, no, you can't enroll here. It was something going on entirely inside of you, and you thought that you had to satisfy it by getting the ice cream cone or by getting the free vacation. No more. You're not going to make the mistake of putting your attention on the wrong thing, which is the gunslinger. You're to know that he exists, but he exists temporarily and unnecessarily inside you because you thought, you really believed that you had to do it by yourself, that you had to think how to beat him. Please, this morning, make this the turning point in which you're not going to torment yourself anymore by thinking that you have to be worthy in yourself, of yourself. You are not. No human being is worthy of himself. It's what you receive. It's what you understand. And you understand it by understanding what true bravery is. I'll explain that to you. The crisis comes up. What is it? Anything at all, which is the same as standing in the street facing the villain. At the moment it happens, instead of thinking to draw your gun and shooting him down, you're going to remember that there is a heavenly place. Understand there is an insight. Understand that there is a power that can come into you and do every single thing that has to be done toward shooting down evil. Even thinking of what you should do next, the slightest movement on the part of the enemy, if understood by you, because you know that you are not the one that has to face him. You do not have to face badness. What you have to do is know where it really is, so that you don't create enemies out there in order to avoid facing the enemies in there where they really are. The few human beings who finally make it down to the end of the spiritual path are those who refuse absolutely to point the finger out there and scream, complain, even scream, I can't take it anymore. That is a falsehood. There's no self in there. Who are you talking about? You're talking about a collection of griefs, a collection of egotistical ideas that you have in which you want to believe in yourself. Don't believe in yourself. Never mind the belief. Get the truth of the matter by standing there. And I don't care how threatening that gunslinger is down at the other end of the street. It makes no difference if he has 10 guns, if he has a machine gun in front of him, a modernized gunslinger. It makes no difference how horrible he looks. Don't you ever again, now this is an order, not a request. You will never, ever again be afraid of a facial expression that's given to you from now on. You will not be afraid of it. You will know it's a fake, it's a bluff. Go to work. Good morning.